So running an Ivy Bridge Xeon from 2013 in 2021, and how to overclock it to 4.4 gigahertz using water cooling and some extra fan cooling. This Xeon 1680 V2 has a base clock of 3 gigahertz with a boost up to 3.9. It's got quite a healthy 25 megabyte cache, and it fits an LGA 2011 socket. Now the motherboard that I'm using this on is a P9 X79 Deluxe from 2011. The motherboard itself is nearly 10 years old and the chip is nearly 8 years old. In order to bring it up to modern standards of gaming and video editing, I decided to overclock this particular chip. So in order to comfortably run this chip at a sustained 4.4 gigahertz, I definitely needed a water cooler. So I ended up with the Arctic Liquid Freezer version 2, the 360 version. The only problem I had is that the VRM was getting extremely hot, and although it had some pretty decent heat sinks, I feel like it needed just that extra bit of cooling. The Arctic Liquid Freezer does come with its own VRM cooling fan, but the VRM itself in places was still too hot to touch by hand, so I felt like this needed a bit of extra cooling. So I used my 3D printer and printed a VRM fan mount, which I attached a small spare fan that I had, which was pretty quiet, attached it to the motherboard fan header, attached it with some handy little bolts, and bam, I had an extra fan pointing directly at my VRM and the RAM just to give it that extra bit of cooling. I've had this particular overclock running now for 5 months and I've had absolutely zero issues with it. I've been rendering at 100% for hours straight. I've been gaming. I can handle 4K footage absolutely fine. I've got a nice stability in Prime 95 and I've never hit above 70 degrees C. As you can see here, I'm able to play Call of Duty Cold War absolutely flawlessly, and at this point I've got no need to upgrade. Now I know this chip is over 7 years old, but it can still give any mid-range CPU of modern release a pretty good run for its money. Given the original RRP of the chip, and it's probably had a life so far of being in a workstation or in a server, it is a workhorse chip and it is designed for heavy workload, so I have no doubt that this chip still has a lot of life to give. I'm pretty satisfied with the setup and I'm happy to give any old CPU a decent second life.